Before I start this video, I just want to add a quick preface. There will be spoilers for Tokyo Debunker episodes Prologue 2, 23, and 24. So if you have not read it yet, I do recommend you to go read it first because I will be giving major spoilers. All thoughts and opinions are my own, so if you don't agree, that's okay. Just be respectful in the comments, because I think each person has their own interpretations of a character. Imagine this: you are placed in a position to make a difficult choice, where either you or the person you love suffers. Do you run away and save yourself, or do you maybe save them and lose yourself in the process? Or maybe you give that choice to someone else. Let someone else decide your fate. We first meet Kaito in the prologue of the game. He is charming, extroverted, and has a soft heart. But as we continue the story, we realize that this guy is kind of a loser. He's cowardly, doesn't do well at school, he refuses to go on missions despite being a ghoul. He's in crippling debt from gambling and chases girls who may not be so interested. But it is precisely because of all his flaws that make his growth so meaningful. His arc isn't only about gaining courage or the strength to fight, but rather his journey to becoming the maker of his own fate, someone who lives proactively, making choices so that he wouldn't live to regret it. At the start of the story, Kaito is shown to be a coward, running away from his problems. He is hunted down by Romeo, his debt collector, seeking refuge in a storage closet only to realize it had already been occupied by MC. His first instinct is to scream, but once he realizes it's just some girl, he calms down. MC claims that she needs help getting to the train station, to which Kaito readily agrees. It is during this journey where we are introduced to Lucas Arendt, who mistakes Kaito for an anomaly and pins him down. Kaito immediately shrieks, begging for his life. We find out that Lucas is a transfer student from Emrys, the UK sister school of Darkwood, and that he was hunting down an escaped anomaly. His extremely trusting nature allows Kaito to take advantage of him, convincing Lucas that he is dying of a terminal illness and that his jealous pursuer was getting in the way of his love. In response, Lucas swears to stop all who get in Kaito and MC's way. It is here where we see that Kaito is someone who takes the easy way out. He could have explained to Lucas that he wanted some space and maybe time alone with his girl, or I don't know. The point is, he didn't have to lie. And that is something he ends up doing. These first few chapters illustrate Kaito's biggest flaw, someone who runs away from his problems. This leads to others having a greater share of responsibility and stagnates his growth. When Romeo eventually catches up to the group, it is revealed to Lucas that their jealous pursuer is really Kaito's debt collector. Lucas, however, in good heart, pays off his loan. Now, this isn't a new problem for Kaito, but rather a struggle he has always faced. In a later episode, we learn of Kaito's background. He was raised by his grandma, not knowing who or what happened to his parents, despite asking many times. Growing up, he was often jealous of other kids, wishing for the same luxuries they could never afford. His grandma was often hard on him, wanting Kaito to do well in school, but Kaito felt like he couldn't do it. One day, his grandma asks Kaito to follow her to the hospital, as the doctor wanted to share some news, and as her next of kin, he needed to be there. Kaito instead runs off, saying he had already made plans with some friends. He later receives a phone call from the hospital. His grandma was diagnosed with end-stage cancer. Kaito, now feeling guilty, feels that he can't visit her. He promised to follow her to the hospital after all, and he is afraid she'd be disappointed in him. Kaito makes a wish, and a demon offers to grant it. The demon says that it would make his grandma forget all that was inconvenient for him. He agrees and ends up forming a pact with this demon, and the next day when he visits his grandma, he finds out she doesn't remember him at all. While doctors chalked it up to rapid onset dementia, Kaito knows the truth. His backstory illustrates the consequences of taking the easy route. Because of his fear of disappointment, his grandmother paid the price, and he had to live with the guilt knowing that he was the cause of it. Kaito says he thought he'd change after coming to Darkwick, but he didn't, and this shows that Kaito is also someone with insight. He sees and recognizes his own flaws, yet is unable to change, because to Kaito, this is who he is. In the first episode, we see MC, Lucas, and Kaito attending their first day of classes. Throughout the episode, Kaito is shown to be extremely envious of Lucas. From Lucas's upbringing, being born with a silver spoon, to Lucas's good looks and how he too desired to be admired. His jealousy reveals a deep-seated insecurity. At one point, he even gets into an argument with Lucas. We can't all be rich and strong and be raised in Britain. It must be nice being brave. Maybe a part of this is true. He does want to be brave, to be admired, to be strong, and to live a comfortable life. But I also believe that if we looked deeper, it stems from a fear of not being enough. Not to others and not to himself. To him, all those qualities that he sees in Lucas, all those qualities that he is jealous, envious of Lucas, are those that he feels that he is lacking. Kaito admits that he is weak, stating that he wouldn't get in the way anymore. This self-deprecating statement shows he only views himself as a burden, someone who depends on others to be protected and can't carry his own weight. Kaito's envy stems from a fear that he is not enough. While he desires to be admired, what he really needs is validation, to know that it is okay to fail, to know that he is and always was capable of so much more. Kaito's first sign of growth was during his first mission when Lucas was struggling with an anomaly. MC, Binded, is unable to assist Lucas. The only other person in the room other than Lucas who is able to move is Kaito. MC, in a state of desperation, begs Kaito to take her hand so she can enhance his stigma and assist him in the fight, but Kaito refuses. He's scared for his life, hiding amongst other victims. He even thinks to himself that it wouldn't be so bad to escape on his own. This way at least one person survives. But his thoughts are quickly interrupted by Lucas's grunt. He watches as blood drips down Lucas's arm, staining his sleeves a deep red. MC panics, and her reaction, with Lucas's continual determination, snaps him out of his view. He dashes to the corner of the room and throws Lucas his pair of twin swords. While Kaito might not have fought the anomalies directly, his choice to stay and assist Lucas, despite his earlier apprehension, greatly shifts the momentum of the fight. This shows that Kaito is capable of change. Sure, he might have been scared, but under the right circumstances and the right type of push, he shows that he is capable of growth, capable of making an impact, and capable of making a decision he would not regret. Sometimes, all one needs is a taste of success. Near the end of episode 1, MC realizes Riku, a young boy, had been left behind. An anomaly suddenly appears behind him, threatening to take his life. MC, without thinking, dashes in to save him, but will it be too late?
落ち着け、カイト。落ち着け、カイト。落ち着け。もし外したら特待生ちゃんと とリク君に当たる。ダメだ。ちくしょう。何してんだ。撃て。
He releases the arrow, hitting the anomaly straight in the head, just barely missing MC and Riku. While Kaito credits Jin's stigma, which is the ability to command, as the reason that Kaito finally releases the bow, I believe that Kaito did it on his own. It is strongly implied that Jin can only use his ability with MC enhancing his stigma, and at that moment MC was not with him. This small victory gave him confidence to use his bow and arrow. You can see that he has more faith in his ability to hit his targets, like how he tries and shoots Natalie Hansgrave and successfully hits, or when Kaito shoots the mirror anomaly in episode 13. For the next section, I'm going to be moving on to episode 23 and 24, which is Our Last Goodbye Part 1 and 2. If you haven't read it yet, I recommend you go read it, because I will be giving spoilers, major spoilers, right, for those episodes. I'm gonna give you like 3 seconds, like just go. 3, 2, 1. Moving to episode 23, Kaito is as jittery as ever. He racks his mind over how to greet MC for the first time in a long while. While Kaito might have overcome many hurdles over the past year, completing missions, building confidence to shoot, and successfully using his stigma, there was still one thing he had yet to overcome. MC. From his nervous ramblings to fighting Lucas for a chance to compliment her, to his never-ending thoughts, it's clear to anyone that Kaito likes MC. So when the perfect opportunity had presented itself at the Frostime Ball, he misses it. Instead, Jin Kamarai, his captain, swoops in and takes the dance. Ever since then, the moment had been eating at the back of his mind. During a late-night talk, Kaito and Towa discussed the legend of Orihime and Hikoboshi, lovers who are separated by a Milky Way, destined only to meet once a year. Towa finds that unfair, and says he wants to see his lover every day for the rest of his life. This prompts Kaito to ask him, what if it was already decided you had to be apart from each other? What if it was written in the stars? What would you do? By the end of this conversation, Kaito remembers something his grandma had told him long ago, about not leaving things up to fate, but to rather carve out his own path. In the following episode, Frostime wins the Laurel Crown. Toma declares that MC and our Chaos combo have to attend the evening ball. Kaito finally works up the courage to ask MC for a dance. And whether or not you as the player choose to accept, it doesn't matter since our focus is on Kaito. Growth cannot be seen in stagnation, and you have to make a choice. And it is in that decision where you see growth. For Kaito, after months and months of overthinking and attempting to impress her, Kaito finally takes his shot instead of just waiting around for a perfect day or a perfect time to ask her for a dance. Because the truth was, they were running out of time, and while she was still with him, he had to take it. While she was still with him without any interruptions, this was the only time left, and he took it. A lot of his development leads up to the climax of the game, finding a way to break MC's curse. Continuing from episode 23, a rumor spreads around Darkwick Academy regarding a demon arm that grants wishes. Lucas, as always, is the first to suggest that they go looking for the arm, to which Kaito reluctantly agrees. Now, I'm not going to bore you with the details, about their investigation, and Toma and whatever. If you want, you can go and read that yourself. But I do want to point out that it was Kaito who suggested making a wish with the demon arm to break MC's curse. The same Kaito that screams in every episode, the same Kaito that gets stressed by Lucas's bold, impulsive ideas. This Kaito, our current Kaito, chose someone else over his fear of consequences. And it is this Kaito who was there with MC when she started her transformation into the Kiklos. If this was the Kaito from the start of the game, he would not have been able to make this wish. We see he was already unwilling to put himself on the line to remove Hera's snakes from MC's head, much less risk his life to make a wish on someone else's behalf. But the Kaito now is different, almost too different. He was being impulsive and sure. Maybe he was desperate because MC was actively changing in front of him, but the contrast in his actions is still so different from one he would have made a year ago. The decision was almost too stark. He grew, he changed, but perhaps too quickly, and as a result, it all came crashing down. He makes his wish, and he bears its price. It is revealed that the demon arm, or hand, wasn't much of a hand, but rather a paw, a monkey's paw. Now, generally, how the monkey paw works is with every wish granted, there will be dire consequences. And these consequences are a result of tampering with fate. In a way, the monkey's paw and its concept is the antithesis of his character arc. One that strives to build his own path, one whose decisions would carve an ideal future, one that lacks consideration of negative consequences. Kaito had gone too far the other way. He was forced into a corner, and he made a choice, because in the end he'd rather save MC and risk his life. He took fate into his own hands because to him that was the better choice. I was talking to Shion Genkai on Tumblr, and he brought up some interesting points that I thought I should share. The first thing he did was he compared Kaito's final wish with the demon hand to his very first wish. Both were impulsive wishes made in a state of helplessness, with a desire for someone else to change. Both had the unintended consequence of killing Kaito, symbolically in his grandmother's eyes, who ended up forgetting who Kaito was, and literally for this case. Narratively speaking, it shows a crack in his near-perfect growth, and I guess also a backslide in his development almost. And that doesn't mean that his arc was for nothing or that he failed in some way. It just highlights that Kaito is human and who has moments of weaknesses. And in this case, when he saw that someone he loved was in trouble, he took fate in his own hands, and it had consequences. I would like to add though that I believe that in a way it is also a backslide in the sense that it's not like other than Kaito wishing, he kind of wished on something else. Like he almost entrusted his fate into the hands of the demon paw or the demon itself to grant his wish, you know. So I don't know, to me it's also almost like he gave that fate to someone else as well, which is still a backslide, you know, in his development. That's just my interpretation of it though. And something else Shion brought up was how the action was also somewhat selfish, which also just shows how human he was, because he only wished because he believed he'd be safe. He brought up that naturally if you feel that you are cowardly, maybe you want to prove that you are brave by doing something that is generally very reckless and very dangerous. And in a sense, it's almost like Kaito was mimicking Lucas, because Lucas is someone who he views as brave, someone he compares himself to. Had this been the Kaito from the prologue, he definitely would not have made that wish because he still feared consequences, and I guess in a way he didn't have anything to prove. I don't know, maybe I am digressing a bit. While I was hesitant about including his death in this video, Shion brought up that if it hadn't happened, the people around him wouldn't be able to grow. Lucas being a very good example. Although, to me, he looks like he might start a villain arc at this rate. And for MC, it marks a very big turning point to her story. Because now she is cured, but at what cost? And while fate or story narration might have claimed his life, Kaito's single desire for change sparks growth in others. That alone makes this moment important enough to be included in this video. In a way, he is the catalyst of change. His leap of faith signifies the start of a new beginning, which perfectly aligns with his card, the Fool. And also marks the end of Season 1 and the beginning of Season 2, coming up in late January. On a side note, I also really want to bring up how we don't often appreciate something till it's gone. I remember some friends of mine saying how they only saw more negatives to his character until the moment he's already dead. And I'm not calling them out on it either, because I didn't appreciate the depth of his character till I make this analysis. So I guess if there was one more thing I'd like you to take away from this section, it's to really stop and take a moment to appreciate the small things in life. To stop criticizing everything you see for a few minutes and just see how beautiful or wonderful some things really are. Overall, Kaito is a very well-written character. At the start of the story, his fear of consequences hold him back from his desire for change. And in the end, Kaito becomes someone who makes decisions he won't regret. His actions not only impact himself, but also the lives of those around him. And while he does stumble, that doesn't make him a failure, but rather someone human. I didn't include all the episodes he was featured in this video, since I wanted to focus more on the pivotal moments. There are also other aspects of his character I want to cover, like his desire to be normal and his identity as a ghoul. So if you are interested in that, do let me know. Now, I think that's about all for today's video, and if there are any other characters you would like me to analyze, I would just leave a comment, yeah? And I guess also I'd appreciate if you gave me a bit of feedback, and I don't know, be nice, still be nice, please. I really appreciate it, and yeah.